Welcome to Agency Bytes, a podcast for agency owners, hosted by agency veteran and coach Steve Guberman. Agency Bytes is a podcast focused on delivering actionable agency information from agency experts in about 25 minutes. Why 25 minutes? Because who has the attention span for much more these days? And you can squeeze in a listen between meetings with time for a bathroom break or coffee refill before your next meeting.
Welcome to Agency Bytes, a podcast dedicated to helping agency owners thrive. I'm Steve Guberman from Agency Outsight, where I coach creative entrepreneurs to build the business of their dreams. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined with Mario Lanzarotti. Hopefully, I didn't butcher that too much. He's a business strategist who helps agency owners scale their businesses sustainably through his Zen-Preneur method. He combines high-performance strategies with inner peace. After exiting his first company, All and Sundry, in 2019, Mario has coached over 1,000 entrepreneurs, empowering them to achieve seven-figure success without sacrificing well-being. His TEDx talk has over 2 million views, highlights his innovative approach to business growth and balanced living. Mario is on a mission to redefine entrepreneurial success by blending wealth creation with mindful leadership and self-mastery. Quite a story, and I'm excited to dig into it with you, my friend. Thanks for joining me.
Steve, thanks for having me on. I'm excited for this.
Yeah. So I want to kind of hear the real quick backstory. I love backstories, like how people got where they are, what motivated them to make the changes that they've made to do what they're doing now. And you're an agency guy similar to myself and sold that. What was that journey like for you to get to where you are now?
Yeah, it started in Hustler City, New York City. I mean, you know the city very well. That was my first venture into entrepreneurship, and I co-founded an e-commerce brand called All and Sundry, which was selling custom-made shoes in Italy. And we had a website where you could 3D design the whole process, like what the shoes look like, the leather, the monograms, the sizing, you name it. And then we had a showroom, a physical store in Manhattan. And I loved it. It was freaking exciting. You know, when you get into entrepreneurship, it's just every day is new territory and you're living the dream. And the initial dream for me in entrepreneurship was all about freedom. I wanted to live my life the way that I wanted to. I wanted to be able to make the kind of money that I wanted to, get up at the time that I want to get up, and go to bed when I want to go to bed. Like, just be free in the way that I choose to live my life.
That was your vision let me just jump in. That was your vision before you got into it, right? You thought those were what was going to be the results, right? Okay.
Yeah. That's what you're being told entrepreneurship is all about, freedom, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I pursued. And I would say the first year, I wasn't really thinking about my initial reason of why I joined the playfield of entrepreneurship. I was just so busy working all the time. I thought this is just the way that it is. And a year later, I actually started reflecting. I was like, I'm not where I want to be in terms of financial success. The business isn't growing at the rate that we both thought it would grow. And I'm really stressed out, like really stressed out. And I remember very well, there was one day where I was organizing an event, an influencer event in Manhattan at our showroom. And there are so many things happening at the same time. So many people coming to me, asking me questions. Hey, what about this? What about that? I need this. All of a sudden, my visual field started to shrink, started to zero in on like a one point in front of me. And it was like my whole system was shutting down. And I had a panic attack, essentially. So I ran out. Like, that was awful for me in the first place, because everybody was looking at me. He's like, what's going on with him? And I ran out and I didn't know what to do. So I went into the Madison Square Park and I called my then girlfriend, now wife, and she guided me through. She said, take a deep breath, sit down, it's okay, all of that. And that was a lifesaver, because I really felt completely powerless. And that was the moment for me when I realized something is off. This is not the dream that you signed up for. And so pretty obviously I was stressed out and I didn't know what to do about that. So I tried meditation. And that was the first time where I felt I had a tool that I could use that allowed me to slow down. Especially in a city like New York, slowing down is almost a
Mm.
luxury, you
Yeah.
know? And so I was scared to do that. But I felt that when I did that, all of a sudden I had more of a sense of control. See, the fear of giving up control and the fear of losing control when you're sort of letting go of the constant busyness of the work that you're doing every day to actually try something differently, that went away when I meditated. And all of a sudden I had this sense of, okay, I feel I can actually make changes happen now. And so, do you want me to go on, or do you have a question? Because I could
So
tell a
so
long
you
story.
kind of hit like an emotional spiritual bottom on that day. Your then girlfriend introduced meditation to you in a sense by talking you through some breathing exercises to calm you down, and that opened the door for you to find some sort of a tool solution. What was that you were looking into? Did you like, I'm going to find a meetup group or jump into an app, or how did you
Yeah.
jump into that journey?
I did transcendental meditation in New York. I
Okay.
learned
Hmm.
transcendental meditation, and that's a tool that you can do for 20 minutes. You're given a mantra, which is a word, a Sanskrit word that you essentially repeat to yourself in the privacy of your own mind. And as you
Hmm.
do that, your whole mind starts to quiet and your body starts to slow down. And it's very difficult to explain if you have never experienced meditation. It's not about quieting your mind. Like the focus is not to quiet the mind. The focus is the mantra, and the quieting happens naturally, automatically. And it's just fascinating what 20 minutes in the morning can do for your whole day.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never jumped into TM. I've heard of it. I think I actually first heard of it. Howard Stern has talked about it for 30 years or something like
Mm,
that. But so I also had a similar kind of bottom. I had started to go through a divorce process and was falling into a depression, and had tinkered with, or I guess danced around the edges of meditation,
mhm,
and sought out a class through a Buddhist temple near my home, and started going to these classes to similarly learn to, I need a tool to help me get through what I thought was just going to be this event, but later
mm.
on help me get through the day to day of my entire life. And it's become such an integral part, similar to you, of like every day, this is how you have to start the day. Because if you don't, you feel like you haven't had your V8, or the world is off kilter or something along those lines. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
all right, so bring us next. Like, so
So
you're
a
meditating.
meditation, right?
Yeah.
That was a game changer because now I had an experience that showed me slowing down makes me a better entrepreneur, because now
Hmm.
I wasn't chasing my tail 24/7. Now I could actually think about, is what I'm about to do really contributing to the bottom line? Is it really moving me closer to the main goal that we have, or is it moving me further away from that? Result: 3 successful Kickstarter campaigns, many of them in the 500% of funding. We did multiple celebrity endorsement. The Seattle Seahawks with Cam Chancellor after they won the Super Bowl. We did a collaboration with Sony's The Blacklist. So all of a sudden, the two of us, we were taking more intentional actions, and success followed. And so that was amazing to see, because now I was like,
Hmm.
see, the thing that I also see with a lot of agency owners is this overload of information. There's so much, and people that are in this frenzy, stressed out state, what do we look for? Even more information, because we think,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know enough, I'm not doing enough, so put in even more. And that was the thing that I saw, is like, I don't need more. I need to do better. I need to take better actions. And so meditation was the key for that. And then business was doing well. And I was sort of momentarily happy with that, but that happiness didn't last. And
Hmm.
so I was like, now I feel somewhat betrayed, because, first of all, I went into entrepreneurship for freedom. Then I realized I was stressed out the whole time. So I was very far away from freedom. Then I dealt with the stress. That was a lot better. But now I got the success that I wanted and still not happy. I was like,
Yeah.
this is bullshit. I was like, what the hell? So a friend of mine told me about the Landmark Forum. which is a Landmark is a very big coaching institution worldwide, and I'd never heard of it. I thought it was a cult. I was like, but I don't have anything to lose. If I don't like it, I'll walk out of it. And so my friend was very persistent. He's like, come, check it out. I did check it out. Absolutely profound. Like the most profound shift that I've had. Top 3 in my life, because what the forum teaches you is that your entire life is based upon the meaning that you give it. And that is all mindset. That is all belief system. So for me, the biggest realization I had was that my sense of happiness was correlated to thinking the happier I was, the less successful I will be. Because if I'm really happy in this moment, then it would kill my drive. Then I would be like, I shouldn't be happy with where I am and with who I am, with how much I've achieved, because otherwise I wouldn't go further. But that was further. That couldn't be further from the truth. And I saw that I had essentially mentally limited myself without seeing that. I had sabotaged myself from being happy and successful at the same time. And I will never forget that moment sitting in that seminar when the coach did an exercise to really help you see that everything in life is a creation of meaning, everything. And I sat there and he asked the question, and I can't give you the exact kind of wording, but he essentially asked you to choose between chocolate and vanilla ice cream. And he kept asking you until you got to the point where you realized that the point is not what you're choosing. The point is that you are choosing in the first place. Everything in your life is a choice. Every single belief you have is a choice. You're not aware of it, but it is a choice. And I remember that I sat there and I was like, this is stupid. That doesn't make any sense. Why is he talking about chocolate and vanilla? And then I had this moment where I was like, oh my God, I get it.
Yeah.
And dude, literally in that moment, it was every thought in my head was gone.
Wow.
I could look around and it was like the Matrix. Everything almost stopped. And I felt this, my heart went like, whoom, expanded. And I felt so peaceful, so incredibly peaceful and grounded. I was like, this is incredible. And then 10 seconds later, gone. I was like, no, please come back. Where is it again? Right? But I had tapped into this moment of the mind of profound, everlasting peace. And that's when I saw, okay, this is it. This is the key. If I can calm myself down, if I can take control of my mind, that's the key to getting anything I want in life. And so came out of that coaching seminar, I was like, oh my God, I was a changed human being. I was no longer the Mario that went into the coaching seminar. So that then was the next key the next element to the Zenpreneur method, because when you master your mind, you can master your actions and you can master the potential that you have. So I'll stop there. I'm sure you have some questions or comments.
So, yeah, I guess initially the thing is mind-blowing is that this coach wasn't asking you necessarily why you were choosing chocolate over vanilla, but it was that you had the choice, and allowing you to tap into the power of life is all about choices, and your choices are typically defined by the beliefs, so long as you're true to self, and the things you believe in and the values that you have are going to make you, allow you to make the choices that are going to go in that direction. If you're not true, then they'll go wherever. But so it wasn't the why, it was that you got to have the choice, which I think is pretty profound as well. Did that then get you out of entrepreneurship, launch you into coaching? Like, at what point did you launch coaching?
Yeah. To also to add to your point, because you said something really amazing, which I think your listeners will appreciate. So often we are faced with moments of stress, moments of anxiety, moments of overwhelm, moments of burnout. Just life seems to not be working. And that is a choice. And I never knew that. I thought I was a victim to those things, to my emotions, to the results that I was getting. I had no control over that. All you do is just work hard, put your head down, and just keep going and pray that somehow it'll work out. But that entire creation that I just mentioned is a choice. Nobody's forcing you to work this way. And that's what catapulted me into coaching, because I was like, hold on. There's so many entrepreneurs that live in this hustle grind mentality, which means hustle grind really means what you're doing is you're striving towards the realization of a goal at the expense of yourself. So what you do is you make all these sacrifices, right? And people say, of course, you got to make sacrifices. Why? Who says that? Where is it written in the universal law that you have to make sacrifices? See, that's a choice. And you can make that choice. You are a free human being to decide, I want to suffer. I want to make it hard. All right, cool. Nothing wrong with that. And I was like, I'm done with that. I don't want that anymore. I want the more easeful life. I want the more joyful life. I want to continue make a lot more money, impact a lot of people, and I want to fall in love with the daily process. I don't want to wake up in the morning and think, oh, God, all right, another day, right? Man, it's going to be tough. This month is going to be really hard. Man, we're going to just have to fucking go. I don't want that anymore. And people think, well, saying that means you can't have the success. But that's what I went to disprove. So after that, I left New York because I didn't feel that the environment was conducive for me to really cultivate a methodology that comes from a place of Zen. And Zen, by Zen, I mean a connection to your inner self. Like something greater than the idea of who you are. Steve, Mario, there's something much greater there. And so I became a digital nomad, traveled, lived in Tulum, hosted seminars, started a men's group there, lived in Portugal, Cape Town, did all kinds of workshops, masterclasses with universities, with corporates all over the world, and really dove deeper into spirituality for my own growth. Specifically into plant medicine, and discovered that one of the key elements that entrepreneurs are missing is emotional processing. There's a lot of focus on the mind, and the mind is really, really important. But if you don't take along the body where your emotions are sitting, you are essentially and always fighting a battle against yourself. And that's what I discovered inside ayahuasca, like talking about trauma. And that was really, really tough, really uncomfortable to face that, because I never really connected the dots. I knew people were talking about trauma and how that's an important topic and one should face that. But I was like, yeah, that's therapy stuff. I'm high performing. I don't have time to deal with this. Like, I'll do it later once I have settled and made the money. And then
was the connection of this is something that I'm carrying and it's burdening me and holding me back? Like, what was the connection of trauma to your present day?
Yeah. So I'll tell you the story. Another friend of mine invited me to an ayahuasca ceremony. And I was like, what the heck is ayahuasca? So I looked it up online, did lots of research. And I was like, okay, wow, this looks amazing. Shamans, this is all mysticism. And I've watched testimonials. I was like, okay, I want to do that. And I did it. I didn't really have like a specific intention. But what happened during the ceremony was I cried for a good, 90 minutes, 2 hours. I was just crying and crying and crying. I was like, why am I crying so much? Well, because I had bottled up so much sadness. The sadness was due to when I was a little boy, I watched my mother and my sister suffer for a long time. And I felt a sense of helplessness. I felt a sense of not being in control, a sense of powerlessness, because I love them, so I want to help them. Why are they sad? They shouldn't be sad, and I should be doing something about that. And I bottled that up over years and years and years and years, and it all came out in that ceremony, and I just let it go. And so I came out of that ceremony, and I realized how much more confident I felt in my own skin, how much more free I felt when I was in conversations. So to give you a very specific example, one of the things as a coach that disempowers people in sales conversations, even for agency owners, is when you are trying to take too much responsibility. You don't allow the other person to come to their own solutions. You become needy then. You become the helicopter parent. Like, you think you have to fix all of the problems. And so That's when you're coming across as a needy person. And guess what? You know this very well. People don't want to work with needy people. They want to work with confident people. They want to work with people that can tell them, here's how it's done, here's how it works. Let's work together or not. Right? And I noticed that when I let go of that sadness, I just felt so much more empowered within myself. And so I would show up more powerful in conversations. My relationships improved. Now, when I was with my mother or my sister, there was something that was gone there. Like I felt a more deeper connection. And obviously that happened with my girlfriend as well. And so, the more my personal relationships improved, the more empowered I felt, the safer I feel. Relationships are either the ground for the greatest amount of drama, conflict, and pain, or the ground for the greatest amount of growth, liberation, and love. And the latter is what we as entrepreneurs need as our fuel to not go into this, I gotta fucking do this every day, but to feel, man, I'm so blessed. I get to do this every day. And a sense of inspiration leading your actions to the outcome that you are pursuing.
But even like those two, whatever sides of the coin of what a relationship could be, those are also choices like that we get to make and how we show up and the work that we get to do. And, I have friends that are like, oh, this person, they just, weigh me down. I'm like, well, you don't need to have that person in your life. Like you're making a decision to be a part of that negativity. And same thing with toxic clients, same thing with toxic employees, same thing with the friend that is just kind of draining you or whatever. And so, those are also choices. The other thing that you said, a few minutes ago about the waking up and like, oh, I have to do this again. And now you have this freedom to kind of do the work that you want to do. The success, if I'm reading it right and hearing you correctly, isn't necessarily the money, but your definition of success is how can I be of service and who am I helping and how am I showing up for people and the reward of what you get to do on a day to day. And I think that's really, really poignant because so many people label success with a dollar sign. Yep. And it's typically not even their own dollar sign. They're thinking, I saw a video that said if I'm not making 7 figures or 30K a month or whatever the heck those stupid numbers are, then I'm not successful. And I think that just needs to be globally reframed of what success is and that we get to define it. And you even said real early on in this conversation, something that I tap into all the time was my experience that I thought it would be this, I thought it would be that. And fast forward just a short amount of time, it was the opposite of the time I thought I was going to have and the money I thought I was going to have and the dream clients I thought I was going to have. And it was all upside down. And I didn't do the work to figure out what I envisioned success to be. Yeah. And, and so you're framing it that like, it's not the dollars, but that's nice to have. Sure. I want to make more money and work less. And those are always great formulas. And, but again, it's that you get to frame out what success means to you and make the series of choices that are going to help you get there.
Yeah. Who you are being is more important than what you are doing. And so if you feel unsuccessful, which is often characterized as like a failure, right? If you feel like a failure, then the actions that you take every day are an expression of who I am being in this moment is a failure. So I act like a failure. And I want to make this point very specific because a lot of people, when they hear about this work that I represent, they get into this, oh yeah, this is some woo-woo stuff. This is some nicey, okay, this is for women. And I want to explain this to you. It's like who you are being is way more important than what you're doing, because if you feel like a failure and you get into a one-on-one call with a potential client, you're going to act like a failure without even realizing that you do it. You become needy, you become manipulative, you hold back, you start lying, right? You do all of these things.
Desperation shows through.
Exactly, right? That sense of desperation is driving you. But if you already feel like a success, then you're relaxed. Then you have fun. Then you don't try to push an agenda. Then you can actually show up and focus on the other person and deliver outstanding value. That's when you have conversations that change lives. And that's when people open up their networks. That's when people want more of you. And, success really is only one thing. It's hitting a definition. What's your definition? I say make the definition easy to hit, easy and
Yeah.
aligned. And for me, it is to live in alignment with my purpose each and every day. And so for me, my purpose is to experience life fully. My mission is to create the space and provide the tools and the support for 1 million entrepreneurs to be financially free and be happy. But my purpose is to be who I am, is to be here,
Mm.
is to be
Yeah.
present. And I can hit that easily, very easily. So I feel like a success already when I wake up in the morning. And that's a game changer. And entrepreneurs need to let go of that. And there's an underlying fear that I already spoke into, but then you find when you let go of that fear, you're so much more free, especially agency owners in the creative fields. Guess where all that creativity is going to come from? It's going to come from you letting go of this control grip. And that's when the ideas are sparking. And you see, what is the saying? Most of your great ideas come under the hot shower.
Yep.
Right? Why? Because you're relaxed. Your body is, your ideas never come when you're sitting in front of your community going, shit, okay, another one. And no. So you got to get yourself to be in a relaxed state throughout the day, while you're in the meetings, while you're setting up your strategy, while you're reaching out to people. That's when you have to be relaxed. Like infuse the action with that beingness of peace and relaxation.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have a really good buddy. He's one of my fishing buddies. And I don't know if this is original to him or he might have copied it from like Zig Ziglar, but he says we're human beings, not human doings. And so focus on the being and it'll result in the doing. And he's probably said that to me a million times over the past 20 years, and it always resonates with me. And the other thing I think is so profound is how we hide behind the toxicity of I love what I'm doing, but that's really masked by I'm just, overworked. Like I would spend 30 hours in a row in my agency, all night long. And sure, I enjoyed some of it and some of it just kind of just energized me.
Yeah.
But there was absolutely a toxicity behind it that was masked by me saying I love what I'm doing when it was really, there was not as much love as there is now with what I'm doing, and not as much freedom with what I'm doing now as there was then. And I think agency owners get caught up in that. We've got to work 100 hours a day and, chase bigger, better clients and things like that. And, I towards the end of my agency before I sold it, I had gone through a divorce. We had, just lost our biggest agency of record client. I had to lay people off for the first time. And so I had those feelings you're talking about where I was like, showing up just so desperate for, trying to chase and close new business to hang on to my client or to hang on to my employees and things like that. And, I was off centered big time. And so my leadership suffered and my team suffered and, our pipeline just dwindled out, and like we were able to save it and rebuild things and, reposition things, which was great. But I mean, the emotional imbalance that hit me and how it trickled through the entire company and my employees and our clients was massive, and so it's, a lot of what you're talking about is I didn't have the ability to get realigned and show up in a more positive way, in a more confident way. So it ended up, making major changes for me as well.
Yeah. That's a really good point that you're making, and I see this a lot. I've definitely done that, and underlying that is the question, who am I outside of my business?
Yeah.
And a lot of agency owners cannot give you an answer to that. They are identified as entrepreneur, as business owner. That's who they are, but that's a very limited identity. And what it causes is exactly what you described. It causes isolation. It causes burnout. It causes really actually shitty business performance, because the moment the business doesn't perform the way that you expect in your mind, now you start to feel really bad. Now you start to get anxious because you're tied to it. But if you can form an identity that is bigger than the business, like who I am is love, who I am is the infinite presence of the universe, who I am is peace and harmony, right? Whatever you decide, because who you are is a creation, who you are is a choice, back to what we discussed earlier. And that's a conscious creation. And this is where there's so much talk about the red pill, blue pill movement, getting out of the matrix. And a lot of agency owners think they are out of the matrix because they have their own business. But you couldn't be further from the truth. The matrix means you're living in a conditioned system. You're living in the way that you've been conditioned to live. You are not making real choices. You're making unconscious choices. You're just following what your parents have given you, what the Hormozy has told you, and the Andrew Tate has told you, or whoever the guys are. You're just saying, oh, yeah, that's great. You don't sit down and you ask yourself, who am I actually? Who do I want to be? And often when I ask that question, there is just nothingness. It's really uncomfortable, right? But that's what you got to go through, that questioning, to discover that on the other side is still a sense of, I don't really know who I am, but that's freedom in that. That's like, I don't even need to know. That's beautiful. Wow. It's like, I am all of it and I'm a none of it. And I can be whatever I choose to be. And I know that even that is a creation of my mind, and that's not truly who I am, but I can have fun with it. See, it's like you're playing a computer game. Most of us, we're all playing the game called entrepreneurship. It's just most of us have forgotten that we are playing the game versus we are the game. Most of us are so in the game that we don't see that we're actually playing it with a controller. And I'm saying, step away, open up the box, take out the blueprint, put it into your computer, look at the code and see, do I like this? Is this the most fun and most empowering game, or is it time for game 2.0?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. You got to take a step back, take a look at answering, who am I? If the agency is the definition, you've been engulfed, you're in the matrix and you don't even know it. A great analogy. It's funny. It's like the fourth time the Matrix has been mentioned this week's. It's here in the States, at least, is being re-released in theaters for whatever anniversary it is. So
maybe that's your call to watch it.
Oh, we're definitely going. Big fans. Yeah.
Nice.
Mario, this has been amazing. We're going to do some collab work outside of this podcast, and I'm excited to dig into this with some agency owners in a more intimate setting. Well, I guess less intimate than this, because it'll be more than the two of us, but it'll be a small group, and it's going to be really, really powerful. I want to shift gears real quick, throw out some couple random rapid fire questions to you, the answers of which they can be just random as heck. They don't need to be agency related or anything. But the first is, what's something that you can't get enough of these days, whether it's a hobby, a book, a podcast, a show that you're just binging?
There's a book that I'm reading called Letting Go, The Art of Surrender by David Hawkins.
Okay. Awesome. I have to check it out. What is a tool that you recently integrated into your life that you look back and you're like, how did I live without this thing? And it can't be AI.
It can't be AI. Okay. I'd say more bartering deals. I've done one-off barters in the past, but I've sort of let go of that. And I've been doing more bartering deals with other coaches, and it's an absolute game changer. I'm loving it.
That's interesting. I love that. We'll have to dig into that on the side offline. I'm curious more about that. And then finally, what's just a super invaluable piece of business advice that you can share?
Before you ask how, ask who. There's always a person that can help you move through what you want and achieve what you want. And so make it a habit to ask people for help.
Requires a lot of humility. A lot of people do not dig deep for that, and it's important.
Yep.
It's vital. Yeah.
That's why we do the work.
I love it. Mario, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time, your wisdom, your experience. This has been amazing, and I'm excited to do more things with you.
Beautiful. Steve, thanks for having me on.
Thank you, my friend.
Thanks again for tuning in to Agency Bytes. If you know someone with expert knowledge on a topic that agency owners would love to hear about, go to agencyoutsight.com/podcast-guest and nominate them.